And we back. And basketball is back. NBA is back. I cannot explain to you how excited I am to be sitting in this room right now to talk about it. Because for the past week, I have been in New York working with House of Highlights on the Twitter show. Shout out to everybody that watched or there was even at the Twitter show. It was a great experience. But I've been just waiting to finally get home to talk about basketball. So today's video, we're going to be giving my first impressions from all 30 teams. Now, a few things I got to get off my chest right up front. When there's 5 games on at one time, I can watch all 5, but some of them I'm not watching as closely as others. So some of these teams I may have a real short impression of. That's just because for the first game I may not have watched the whole game like with like my eyes on it 100%. And some teams I'm going to talk about more because those may have been the games I really sat down and broke down. All right, so that's the first thing. And the second thing is that I don't want to overreact. There are no overreactions here. I'm not saying because the team is 1-0 right now they about to go on to win a championship, or because the team is 0-1 their season is over. You will not see that from me. Some of them gonna be positive, some of them gonna be negative, but just my overall first impressions from every team. Be sure to leave it a like if you're super happy about this NBA season being underway. So let's start off from the top. It's the Philadelphia 76ers. They just played one of the most brutal games against the Boston Celtics. When I tell you that game was so hard to watch, like aesthetically, so many foul calls. It was just a drag. It was like not the way you wanted to start the NBA season for them. But they got the W. They got the W. The defense is real. That will be my first impression. I mean, we knew that the defense was going to be great, but sometimes it takes a while for a team with new pieces to kind of put it together, the communication and stuff. They look pretty good defensively in the very first game, which makes them a lot scarier when we after game 82 and there's a whole season this team being together and they really got the chemistry going. Defense is key. Then we got the Bucks, who beat the Rockets after being down by like what 16, 17 points. Giannis is a dog. I mean, everybody knew that. That was not my first impression, but he stepped into a couple threes. One of the two of them he may have airball. But the fact that he came into game one, like, you know what? You could not sag off of me because I will take it is a beautiful thing. Ersan Ilyasova is just like the greatest charge taker in the NBA. Maybe one of the best in NBA history. And I tweeted that, and I saw a lot of people say, Lowry. And Kyle Lowry is great, but he's got to be second. I even went to the numbers. Kyle Lowry played double the amount of minutes. Actually, here are the stats here. So Ersan played 1,000 minutes last year and he drew 49 charges, and Kyle Lowry's down there with 2,000 minutes and just 23. Like, not just 23, because anybody that puts their body on the line going against players that's so much bigger than them like Kyle Lowry does is incredible. But there were specific plays last night where I was just tuning in on Ersan Ilyasova and he will be switching, and immediately the first thing he do is just try to draw the charge on a guy like James Harden or Russell Westbrook, who definitely is like hard-nosed, I need to get to the basket. Ersan's a guy. So what I do want to see more is a more Chris Middleton being involved. I mean, right now, for them at least, it's super important that he has another all-star type season. The Bulls. My Bulls. What can I possibly say? When I tell you, I was sitting in my hotel room watching this game, the roller coaster ride of emotions I went through in this very first game of the season is ridiculous. Bro, we got to guard the three-point line. You can go against any team in the league, and if you don't guard the three-point line, they gonna light it up. We're gonna talk about the Hornets once I get to them, but come on, bro. Like, nobody's gonna step up. Nobody. Bro, if we play defense like this for the entire season, it's going to be a long one. But, again, I try to stay optimistic, and I'm going to say it's just game one. Tonight, we are going against the Memphis Grizzlies. And if we give up 1,000 three-pointers again, what am I going to do with my season tickets? I don't know. Okay, maybe I did slightly overreact with the Bulls, but that's because it's my team. It's my job to kind of overreact. But now we get to the Cavaliers. Now, the Cavaliers had one of the games that I will admit I didn't tune into a lot because it was very low scoring. 2 defenses. Like, Colin Sexton was playing greater defense than I ever remembered him playing. Other than that one clip when he was in high school and he was like, I think it was Penny Hardaway's son or something like that. He played amazing defense the other night. And you just want to see baby steps for a team that is rebuilding. Shout out to Jetty Osman for getting his extension. Like, they really got cheap on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got the potential to be pretty good in this league, and they got him on the bargain. So shout out to them for that. But that's all. I'm gonna have to keep on watching the Cavaliers to completely get a feel for Darius Garland and Colin Sexton playing together. So now we got to the Celtics. Again, I mentioned their game earlier. It's just one of the hardest games to watch from the first couple days of the NBA season. But I will talk about the positive, and that's that Gordon Hayward looked good, man. That first step looked pretty fast, and it's been a whole season since the injury. So you would hope that this is the year that he potentially gets back up to that all-star level player. And in game one, he played great. The Clippers by far just look like the best team in the NBA, and that is without Paul George. Kawhi Leonard has been playmaking. Like, that was like, if we were talking about the bad sides of Kawhi Leonard, one thing he doesn't do great, that would be playmaking. But through these first couple games, his eyes are on his teammates. And luckily for him, pretty much everybody that he's running with can shoot except for Montrez and Zubac. But like JaMychal Green, I had to look up his numbers. He's been consistently like a 40% three-point shooter on like 2.5 attempts. But through the first couple games this season, he's letting them fly and he's knocking them down. Patrick Patterson, who is known as a three-point shooter before he got his last couple contracts, is finally back to hitting his open threes. It's a scary sight, especially when you got Pat Bev leading the helm, just talking trash and playing great defense. I don't know how scary this team is going to look when Paul George gets here. The Grizzlies look pretty good, man. Watching John Morant is definitely fun. Jaren Jackson Jr. looked good. I would love for them to potentially like draft a great shooter or sign a great shooter in like restricted free agency, because it would just open up Ja's game so much more if he had elite shooting on his side, because right now they don't really have that. But if they beat my Bulls tonight, I'm gonna be so upset. Not with them, because congratulations on the win, but with my guys. So for the Hawks, it's just cemented into my brain that for the next decade, Trae Young's about to be one of the best players to watch in the NBA. He's just so fun. Pull it from the logo, and a guy of his size who potentially just get to the paint at will and find his open teammates, it's impossible for me to dislike that man's game. The Heat. Yo, the Heat had a couple players the other night, and I was like, wait, who are you? Like Chris Sylvia? I've never heard that name before, but that dude was everywhere. And not to mention that Kendrick Nunn got to start as a rookie. I did not expect that. I know he had played well in the preseason, but I just figured he'd maybe be a rotational piece. But with Jimmy Butler being out, congratulations to Jimmy on the birth of your kid and all. With Jimmy being out, Kendrick Nunn was like, I'm going to take over this starting spot for now, and I'm going to play well in it. Justice Winslow on the fantasy squad gave me a lot of points. Just continue to do that, Justice, baby. I'm trying to get my 3rd championship in 5 years. So now with the Hornets, I told you I was going to talk about them. I'll probably talk about them more in this video than like anybody ever has, because even me back in the past, I would say the Hornets and I'll be like, what am I supposed to say? But I can actually say stuff about them, man. They play one of the most selfless basketball games I've ever seen. Other than Terry Rozier, they have just a bunch of guys that just want to see other players on their team be great. They were swinging the ball like they were the Spurs. Swinging the ball. Oh, I got an open shot. Psych. I'm a one more to PJ Washington, who for some reason is just like, who is he playing like? He's playing like Robert Orr. He's playing like, Danielle Marshall. He just hit so many threes. But yeah, I mean, they do have pieces that I like. And you know the crazy part is, so I play like daily fantasy basketball for like money in leagues and stuff. And I had this tweet in my draft. Let me show you this tweet in my drafts. Okay, I don't know how to find my drafts on the computer, but I'll do it on my phone, right? This tweet says, and maybe it won't focus, I have a good feeling about PJ Washington tonight. I had this, I almost tweeted it, but the reason I didn't is because I don't want my fellow Bulls fans to feel scared, which they should have. I put PJ Washington on my FanDuel lineup, and he helped me win $200 the other day. So it's like bittersweet. He was lighting up my team, but also my pockets were getting fatter. So they just had so many players that just shot lights out. I don't know. I mean, obviously, something like that is not going to be sustainable because they were breaking records, their own team records. But they beat my team. I got it. Gotta pay respects. Now to the Jazz. The Jazz look great even with Mike Conley having like the worst game of his NBA career. He was like missed 15 shots or something like that. Crazy. But Donovan Mitchell just took over the game as the way you want your star player to do. Hey, my co-star in my backcourt is not playing well, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just take the load. And he, like, I understand the comparisons to a young Wade. I'm not saying he's there, but play style, the fact that he crashes the boards on his own misses, that is very Dwayne Wade-esque. I see it, and not to mention you still got Rudy Gobert. It's just a team that I'm rooting for every night. The Kings, bro. It's just terrible that Marvin Bagley's going to be out, because in the preseason, he was averaging like 24 and 13. Like, man, Bagley's about to come over into this league, and he about to help this team win a bunch of games. Him being out, I think it said 4 to 6 weeks, is crazy. But even in this first game, man, they did not look good. And I'm putting a lot of that blame on Luke Walton, bro. Luke Walton did a very terrible job in his rotations. It's not the first time I said that. I was saying that when he was coaching the Lakers too. Luke Walton did a terrible job with his rotations. It was like, bro, you could have Buddy on the game without De'Aaron Fox. You know that, right? Your team will play well if sometimes you stagger their minutes and you don't have to have all backup players in at the same time. It was like he was playing, like coaching a high school freshman C team, right? Hey, these first 5 play, then the second 5 play, then the first 5 come back. No, Luke. Let De'Aaron run with the backup sometime because he is your floor general. Let Bagley play with the backup sometime because, well, he's a bucket. Now, maybe that's just the first game, but now with Bagley being out, I don't really know what to expect. I was editing through the video and I realized that I skipped the Knicks, so I know the lighting looks a little bit different, but I got to get the Knicks in here. It scared me when I saw their starting 5 and saw Alonzo Trier in there. I was like, bro, A, there's no defense in that backcourt, and B, there's no playmaking in that backcourt. But Alonzo Trier only played a couple minutes, and they actually got the defense with Elfrid Payton. Played a great game. I don't know if he's going to win the starting spot for them. Maybe it's already been announced that he might start, or Dennis Smith Jr. starting. But I really like RJ Barrett's game, man. He played well. He shot efficiently. That's all you really want from him. The Lakers could use Kuzma. I mean, that's the impression that, like, having Kuzma on the court right there would just open things up so much more. Anthony Davis looked good for the first half. I think him and LeBron combined for like 2 points in the fourth quarter, which is unacceptable. But again, it's game 1 and they've never played together other than like the preseason. But LeBron was actually playing some solid defense. He took some charges. He had the chase down block. I like that. But offensively, it seemed like he was just trying to see what Anthony Davis can do and just take a step back, which is cool and all, but sometimes you need to put your foot on the gas, especially when your team is down and you're one of the greatest in the world. The Magic's defense is real. Like, that was a real question mark coming into the season, because for the first half of last year, they were okay defense, and then the second half of last year, they were one of the best defenses in the league. So we were really questioning, like, okay, is that defense really real? Seems like it. Now, I know it was against the Cavs and everything, but they were really clamping up. For John Nigel to be my most improved player, bro, we need to take more than like 2 shots. And I understand you're in foul trouble and everything. Be more aggressive. With the Mavericks, just like watching the pick and maybe it was an oop. Was it an oop that Luka threw to Porzingis? Regardless, just watching those 2 guys together for like the next 4 or 5 years at least is going to be insane. It's really going to be insane. Luka had one of the best performances for the first couple nights, and he seems to be unguardable. Like, his usage rate was crazy. He had a usage rate the other night that was like James Harden MVP season, like, you know what I'm saying? He looked great. The team looked okay. I really question who's going to step up and be their 3rd best player, because you know Luka's like number 1 at this point. Porzingis is number 2 as he slowly gets back from his injuries. And then who's going to be number 3? Is it going to be a different person every night? I don't really know. The Nets, bro, Kyrie Irving is just incredible. Incredible. It just seems like he looks great in that jersey. You know how sometimes you see a player, you're like, bro, this is not the team you're supposed to be with just because the jersey don't look right on you? Kyrie looks great in that jersey. And I was hoping that shot fell. Now, most of the time when I'm watching the game, unless it's a Bulls game, I'm usually pretty neutral, right? I don't really care who wins. I want to see good basketball. I want to see everybody be healthy. But that was a game I wanted to see the Nets win because I wanted that moment for Kyrie. He got 50, but he called an L. If that shot falls, that is 100% the best highlight he has. And that's saying a lot because Kyrie is the king of highlights, really. But if he on the floor doing and 1 moves, and he said he slipped, but it looked like he was trying to do that move. If that shot falls for a game winner and you also put up 50, man, I think I do. If I remember right, I think they missed a couple free throws down the stretch. Karis LeVert looked pretty good, but he had a couple bonehead plays down. But I like the squad, the Nuggets. Now, Jokic said something after the win, was like, hey, this is team ball. I'm not even the best player. Like, we really play team ball. That's a fact, bro. I mean, he is the best player. He's just talking. But that's a fact as far as team ball goes. This team is towards the top because Jokic got in some real quick foul trouble, and they held it down until he could potentially get back in the game. It was really a team effort, and you love to see that as a fan of basketball. Now, the Pacers, you really wonder, like, hey, okay, they gave Sabonis this contract extension, so they're really going to try to start these 2 big guys. How would it work? And for the first game of the season, it worked solidly. Now, they did get killed by Andre Drummond completely, but other than that, they looked well together. You worried about kind of spacing. Both guys want to be back to the basket, but both guys can stretch. And it just worked out. They did not get that win. But I think that they're going to be fine. Malcolm Brogdon looked great as a primary ball handler. I think he had 11 or 12 assists or something like that. This team is going to be okay. It's just kind of trying to figure each other out. Pelicans, obviously, we got to talk about Zion not being there, right? For 4 to 6, which is it's sad. It's a tough break considering your team is on national TV like 30 plus games. And now your star attraction, the reason why people want to watch, is out. But for the first game of the season against the Toronto Raptors, they looked okay. Brandon Ingram had his moments. What scared me, though, is that Lonzo Ball was not on the floor when it mattered, and he was not having a good game. So shout out to Coach Gentry for not just letting him play. Like, you want your best players at that moment out there. And at that point, Josh Hart was having a better game. So I would like to see Lonzo get to the point where he can get Gentry to be like, hey, you deserve to be on the floor. And in the first game, he was not. Pistons, first game of the season, Drummond, God tier. I had Drummond on the fantasy, and he was one of the reasons alongside PJ Washington that I won that money. Drummond, God tier as far as rebounding. He had like 30-something, 20-plus boards. Crazy stats. I think they compared it to Charles Barkley. Crazy. D-Rose, man, he's going to be in town soon. And as a season ticket holder, I cannot wait for him to get back. I would like to see Luke Kennard in the second game get a little bit more shots like he did in the first game, because he is kind of one of their only shooting threats, like coming off screen shooting threats, and he definitely can shoot. So how about we get him more looks? The Raptors, Pascal Siakam just looked like an all-star. Shout out to Chicago's own or Illinois' own Fred VanVleet. Pascal Siakam was like, I got this. And I think the story goes, after Kawhi left, Nick Nurse called Freddie, and he called Pascal Siakam and was like, hey, now that these two guys are gone with Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, there's 20 more shots. And they both were like, we got this. And guess what? In game one, they really had that. So, could we potentially see Fred VanVleet average 16, 17, 18 points per game? I think it's possible because, A, he's super confident. He is super confident, and he makes the shots. The Rockets. Now, though they blew that lead to the Bucks and they lost last night, Westbrook's chaotic play fits them perfectly. And chaotic may sound like a negative word, but no, in this sense, the chaoticness, the chaos that he brings is perfect, because he'll get to the lane, flail in his arms and everything, but he still has a vision to see that corner, and maybe Ben McLemore don't knock this one down, but maybe he'll knock down the next one. The chaos is great. And you saw them bickering at each other, him and Harden, and that's just the way of basketball. Don't overreact. Now, I mean, you have to talk to each other, and it may come out as heated, but they know when they're on the court together, they're going to be solid, and they're brothers at the end of the day. I would like to see James Harden play a little bit better, but it's game one. Cannot overreact. The Spurs. Can we just say DeJounte Murray and leave it at that? He looked incredible. And shout out to him for also getting his bag. A lot of those people that would have been restricted got their money, and shout out to them for that. But he looked very good. And in a game where DeMar DeRozan didn't look great, the rest of the squad showed up. I mean, Brett Forbes had a dub, and we saw DeJounte Murray hit that corner three when it mattered the most. I think at that point they were on their way to like a 12-0 run, and DeJounte Murray hit a three, which is like one of the things you ask, like, can he hit the three ball? He did. It was 1-for-1, but he hit it. The Suns, with Ricky Rubio and Devin Booker playing together, they looked incredible. Both ended up with double-digit assists. Ricky Rubio was playing aggressively, but now we heard last night that DeAndre Ayton could potentially be suspended for 25 games. For 25. And this is like the best y'all have looked in a year. Like, in years. 25 games for basically your second best player is crazy now. There's rumors that he's gonna fight it and potentially get it down, but we know he's not playing tonight. And he's a super big part of this team. So hopefully it doesn't end up being 25. I don't even know the specifics. He got caught with something in his bloodstream, and regardless. Let's hope he gets it down. Thunder fans, I told y'all was gonna love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, man. He is a bucket. He plays very weird because he looks like a guy that would be an elite playmaker, but he's not really. But you got an elite playmaker in Chris Paul. I would love to see Steven Adams get a little bit more involved personally, but again, it's game one, so you don't want to say anything terrible. I was definitely expecting Steven Adams to get way more boards than he did, because you got to think about it. Last year, he averaged 4 defensive rebounds a game. That's because he was sharing with Russell Westbrook. But Russell Westbrook is gone. So I was expecting Steven Adams to just get all of those rebounds. And maybe it's just game one, but I drafted him in fantasy because I expected him to get all those rebounds. Steven Adams, please get as many boards as you can. Timberwolves got a dub. That's all that matters. And tonight they go against the Hornets. So I'm guessing they're going to walk out there with a W. But maybe the Hornets is the best team in the league. I don't really know. You love to see Karl Anthony Towns playing aggressively and playing great. That's exactly what he did. I would love to see Josh Okogie get a little bit more minutes than what he did. I mean, he played elite defense, and he also made some shots. Like, that's what you want from a guy. So hopefully he'll get more minutes in the next game, but maybe it was just so tight of a game that coach wanted to run out his best guys. And I guess his best guys was Wiggs, Jeff Teague, Trevon Graham, and Rocco and Cat. The Blazers. Whiteside looked motivated. There's that one clip that went viral of him playing terrible defense on Jokic, but other than that, he looked pretty solid to me. And obviously when you have Damian Lillard and everything, it's going to work out well. The Warriors scare me, and not in the traditional sense. If I say, oh, that team is scary, you think I mean like they about to go crazy. The Warriors scare me on the opposite tip. Because I made a tweet a few days ago before their first game, and I was like, hey, maybe Steph Curry averages 30, D'Angelo Russell averages 20, Draymond averages 10. Where's the rest of those points coming from? Last night, they put up actually more points than I would expect them to, 122. So dope. They scored the ball, and that's even with Steph Curry having a bad game by his standards. Defensively, it was terrible. Defensively, it was really terrible. And for a team that's still trying to make the playoffs, you cannot afford to give up that many points on any night. So the defense is still a worry. They kind of put me to rest when it comes to their scoring ability, but they got to guard up. And lastly, the Wizards. Hachimura looked good in this debut. And I knew that was going to be the case because I watched them in FIBA, and then I watched them in the preseason, and he looks like a guy that's pretty confident in his mid-range jumper. And, well, that's exactly what he did. I do like some of the pieces on this team. Not enough to think that they're going to be a playoff team or even really good. I would actually like them to try to, like, bottom out and get a top pick. So when John Wall does come back and say he is healthy, then their team can potentially be decent again. But that's something for the GM and everything. You're not going to be able to tell Bradley Beal not to win, because that's what he tries to do every night. Thomas Bryant looked really good, as I expected, coming off that good sophomore season. And that's it. Those are my first impressions for all 30 teams. I think this video is longer than any of those videos I've ever done before. But just the fact that basketball is back got me in a talking mood. So though we, of course, will still be running 2K and everything, expect me to have a lot of these sit-down videos, because every night I'm watching every game. It's the job. It's a beautiful job. It's a job, though. All right, so be sure to leave it a like. Let me know your first impressions from your favorite team. Again, I didn't watch all games, all minutes, so if I got something wrong here, be sure to let me know. It's been Kenny. I'll be back tomorrow. Peace.